Hello, and welcome again to Living English. Today, we'll look at language you can use when going to the doctor. And we'll look at how to talk about what you prefer. But first, let's see sisters and brothers. In the last episode, Anne told the detective, John, that she thought she saw her brother at the market. Today, she's visiting the doctor.
Excuse me, I have an appointment to see Dr. Chang at 2:30.
And your name?
Lee, Anne Lee.
Ms. Lee. Yes. Please take a seat. Doctor will see you soon.
Thank you.
Ms. Lee? Doctor will see you now.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Lee, how can I help you?
I've been getting some very bad headaches lately and I feel tense.
When do you get them?
Usually at night, but sometimes in the morning too.
And have you been taking anything for them?
No.
You look tense. Are you working too hard?
Not really. I'm over here from Singapore buying wines.
But something's worrying you. Am I right?
Yes. I'm worried about my brother. He's been missing for 2 years.
No wonder you've been getting headaches. But just let me give you a checkup to make sure it's nothing else. Your blood pressure is a little high, but your heart is fine. I'm sure it's the worry about your brother that's causing the headaches.
What can I do?
Try to relax and get some rest. Do you prefer Western or Chinese medicine?
I prefer Chinese medicine.
Here are some tablets. Take 2 3 times a day and try not to worry about your brother. I'm sure you'll find him soon.
Thank you. I hope so.
And let's hope that Anne feels better soon. When Anne arrives at the doctor's, she first talks to the receptionist. Let's look again at her conversation with the receptionist.
Excuse me, I have an appointment to see Dr. Chang at 2:30.
And your name?
Lee, Anne Lee.
Ms. Lee. Yes. Please take a seat. Doctor will see you soon.
Thank you.
Anne tells the receptionist who she has come to see and the time of the appointment. She says, I have an appointment to see Dr. Chang. Practice this phrase with Anne while we see the clip again.
Excuse me, I have an appointment to see Dr. Chang at 2:30.
The receptionist asks for Anne's name. She doesn't say, what is your name, please? She just says, and your name? She might also say, what is your name? Or, what was the name? Then she asks Anne to take a seat while she waits. She means that she can sit down. Practice saying, please take a seat with the clip.
Ms. Lee. Yes. Doctor will see you soon. Ms. Lee. Yes. Please take a seat. Doctor will see you soon.
And finally, the receptionist says, Doctor will see you soon. She means Anne won't have to wait long. Later, she says something quite similar.
Ms. Lee? Doctor will see you now.
She means that Anne can go and see the doctor. Her wait is over. Let's look at the language the doctor uses to talk to Anne.
So, Ms. Lee, how can I help you?
Try saying, how can I help you with Dr. Chang?
So, Ms. Lee. So, Ms. Lee, how can I help you?
Now let's look at how Anne describes what is wrong with her. Listen.
I've been getting some very bad headaches lately and I feel tense.
Anne says she's been getting headaches. Headaches are a pain in the head. Let's look at the phrase have been getting. If Anne has a headache now, she would say, I have a headache. If she had a headache yesterday, she would say, I had a headache. But she says, I have been getting headaches. So she has had headaches in the past, and she is still having headaches now. Have been getting refers to an action that started in the past and is still going on. And it's a continuous action. Getting a headache doesn't happen just at one time. It goes on for a long time. Let's look at some other examples of this present perfect continuous tense.
And have you been taking anything for them?
No.
The doctor asks Anne, have you been taking anything for them? That is, has Anne been taking any medicine for her headaches? The doctor wants to know if, when Anne gets a headache, she takes medicine and is still taking medicine when she gets a headache. Here's one more example.
But something's worrying you. Am I right?
Yes, I'm worried about my brother. He's been missing for 2 years.
Anne says that her brother has been missing for 2 years. 2 years ago, he went missing. Now, he is still missing. So he has been missing for 2 years. The action started in the past, continued until the present, and is still continuing now. Let's try some other examples. First, repeat what Anne said. He's been missing for 2 years. He's been missing for 2 years. Now let's use different words. I, looking for him, a year. I've been looking for him for a year. I, waiting, an hour. I've been waiting for an hour. She, studying, 3 years. She's been studying for 3 years. We, driving, since 6 a.m. We've been driving since 6 a.m. And remember that we use for to talk about a length of time. For an hour. For 3 years. We use since to talk about a specific time in the past. Since 6 a.m. Since yesterday. And here's Michelle Crowden. I've been waiting for you.
Well, you can stop waiting now. I'm here.
What are we going to talk about today?
About preferences and choice. First, let's look at a question Dr. Chang asks Anne.
Try to relax and get some rest. Do you prefer Western or Chinese medicine?
I prefer Chinese medicine.
The doctor asks Anne whether she prefers Western or Chinese medicine. She is offering Anne a choice. She uses the word prefer. This means to like something more than something else. And she uses the word or to show that the choice is between two things. In her answer, Anne says which one she likes more. She says, I prefer Chinese medicine. Brenton, here are 2 pictures. This is a portrait, a picture of someone, and this is a landscape, a picture of a scene. Do you prefer the portrait or the landscape?
I prefer the landscape.
Now try asking the question. Remember to use or. First about the pictures. Do you prefer Do you prefer the portrait or the landscape?
We can also talk about things you prefer doing. Look at how we do this. Michelle, do you prefer swimming or running?
I prefer running. I could also say I prefer running to swimming. What about you?
I prefer swimming to running.
Try at home with some choices. You say which you prefer. Staying home, travelling. Now say which you prefer to the other. Reading, watching TV. Now say which you prefer to the other. Let's look again now at how Anne described her symptoms. Symptoms are the signs that something is wrong with you.
I've been getting some very bad headaches lately and I feel tense.
Anne says she's been getting headaches, pains in her head. What are some similar words?
We can also talk about a stomach ache, a pain in the stomach, and toothache, a pain in a tooth.
And Anne says she feels tense. What other words might you use to describe how you feel to a doctor?
You might say, I feel sick, or I feel hot, or I feel cold.
Let's look at what the doctor does to find out what's wrong with Anne.
Your blood pressure is a little high, but your heart is fine.
The doctor says Anne's blood pressure is a little high. Try saying this with Dr. Chang. Your blood pressure is a little high.
But your heart is fine. Your blood pressure is a little high, but your heart is fine.
Your blood pressure is a little high. What else could Dr. Chang have said?
Try saying the phrase with these different words. Very high. Your blood pressure is very high. Low. Your blood pressure is low. Very low. Your blood pressure is very low. Too high. Your blood pressure is too high.
If a doctor says your blood pressure is too high or too low, they mean you have to do something about it. Something is wrong.
And you can use the same words about your temperature. Your temperature can be high or low, too high or too low.
What does Dr. Chang think about Anne's symptoms? What is her diagnosis?
A diagnosis is the doctor's opinion about what is wrong. Listen.
I'm sure it's the worry about your brother that's causing the headaches.
The doctor is sure that Anne's worry about her missing brother is causing her headaches.
Let's look now at what advice the doctor gives. What does she advise Anne to do?
Try to relax and get some rest.
Here's a question. How many tablets does Anne have to take every day? Watch.
Here are some tablets. Take 2 3 times a day.
How many?
2 tablets. 3 times a day, she must take 2 tablets. That would be 6 tablets.
That's right. 3 times simply means 3 different occasions. How many times have we presented Living English so far?
28 times.
That's amazing. Well, we hope you can join us for our 29th time.
When we'll be in the kitchen and finding out where things are. Hello, and welcome again to Living English. Today, we're going to look at words you can use in the kitchen and how to say where things are kept. Remember in our last episode of Sisters and Brothers, Anne went to the doctor because she was feeling tense and having headaches. Now it's Friday and she has arrived at Sarah's house to cook a Chinese meal for the family.
You feeling better now?
Yes, the doctor said I should relax.
Oh, why don't you sit down? Let me cook.
No, I enjoy cooking. It is relaxing for me.
Okay then. Well, let me help. Oh, what do you need?
I need a sharp knife.
The knives are in this drawer.
And a wok. Do you have one?
Yes, of course. It's in this cupboard.
And do you have a, I don't know what it's called, a kind of a saucepan with holes in it?
Colander? It's in here too. It's behind the saucepans.
And I'll need a bowl.
Large or small?
Big enough to hold these prawns.
Oh, yum. Prawns. I love prawns. How about this one?
No, that's too big. I don't need one as big as that.
This one?
That's perfect. Okay, I'm ready.
Let's start off today by revising some phrases we've looked at before on Living English. First, Sarah asks Anne a question.
Are you feeling better now?
Sarah is worried about Anne. She is showing her concern because she knows Anne was not feeling well. Try saying, "Are you feeling better now?" with Sarah.
Are you feeling better now?
Sarah wants to know if Anne is feeling better than she was feeling before. That is, not as bad as she was feeling before. Anne tells Sarah what the doctor told her to do.
Yes, the doctor said I should relax.
She is reporting what the doctor said. So she says, "The doctor said." The doctor told her to relax. So she says, "The doctor said I should relax." Repeat this with Anne now.
Yes. Yes, the doctor said I should relax.
Everyone is giving Anne advice. Sarah makes a suggestion too. Listen.
Oh, why don't you sit down? Let me cook.
Sarah suggests that Anne should sit down. She says, "Why don't you sit down?" We've looked at this phrase before. Try saying it with Sarah. "Why don't you sit down?"
Oh, why don't you sit down? Let me cook.
You can also use he or she, but when you do, you must say doesn't and not don't. Let's try some more. He, be more careful. Why doesn't he be more careful? She, let me help. Why doesn't she let me help? If someone asks you, "Why don't you do something?" they don't really want to know why you don't do it. They are suggesting that you do it. But be careful. "Why don't you?" can also be said rudely.
Why don't you stop talking?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was rude.
Well, yes, it was, Michelle. Why don't you say hello to our viewers?
Hello, everyone. Did you hear how I said it? Why don't you stop talking?
When you use "why don't you" to make a suggestion, make sure that you sound friendly and helpful, not angry. Why don't you tell our viewers what else we're going to do today?
Well, we're going to look at things you might find in the kitchen. But first, let's watch again how Anne finds the things she needs in Sarah's kitchen.
Oh, what do you need?
I need a sharp knife.
The knives are in this drawer.
And a wok. Do you have one?
Yes, of course. It's in this cupboard.
And do you have a, I don't know what it's called. A kind of a saucepan with holes in it.
Colander? It's in here too. It's behind the saucepans.
We've looked before at words such as in and next to when giving directions. Here we're describing where things are in relation to one another. So Brenton, we have some common kitchen items here. We have a plate, a bowl and a cup. Can you tell me where they are using the words next to, behind and in front of?
You help me first. Where's the cup? The cup is next to the bowl. Where's the plate? The plate is behind the bowl.
And where's the bowl?
The bowl is in front of the plate.
Now let's look again at Anne describing something she doesn't know the name of.
And do you have I don't know what it's called, a kind of a saucepan with holes in it?
So Brenton, I have a game for you.
Well, why don't you tell me what to do?
First, look at all these objects here and tell our viewers what they are.
What is this called? It's a knife. What do you call these? They're chopsticks. What is this called? It's a sponge. What do you call this? It's a grater.
Okay, now we'll put the objects in this bag. And I want you to reach in and describe what you feel.
I'd better be careful.
And at home, see if you can guess which object Brenton is describing. What's the first one?
Well, it's long and thin. It's made of wood. It's thinner at one end than the other. Oh, here's another one.
Is the end sharp or blunt?
It's blunt. It's chopsticks.
What's next?
Well, it's long. Oh, and has a point at one end. It has a sharp edge and a wooden handle. Yes, the handle is made of wood, I think.
What is it?
It's the knife.
Are you all right?
Oh, I think so. The next one is soft and bends. I can squeeze it.
Which object is it?
It's the sponge.
Well done.
Last one. It's made of metal. It has flat sides. The sides are very rough.
You know what this is.
It's the grater.
So you can describe things by saying what they're made of. It's made of metal. They're made of wood. Or whether they're rough or smooth. Or their shape, round or square. Or whether they are hard or soft. Sharp or blunt. Now let's look once more at our story. Anne is asking Sarah for a bowl the right size.
And I'll need a bowl.
Large or small?
Big enough to hold these prawns.
Big enough to hold these prawns. If the bowl is too small, the prawns won't fit in it. Here we have 3 boxes and a ball. Which box is big enough to hold this ball, Brenton?
Well, let's have a look. This one is too small. It isn't big enough. This one is also too small. It isn't big enough either. This one is okay.
This box is big enough to fit the ball. After me, say whether the boxes are big enough or not big enough. This one, it's not big enough. And this one, it's big enough. The word enough also reminds us that English is a very strange language, especially the way that words are spelled. Brenton, tell me some words that have O-U-G-H in them.
Well, there's though, that's a common one, and bought. I bought this shirt, though it's a bit big for me. Oh, pardon me.
Ooh, and cough. You've got a nasty cough.
And through. Don't go through a red light.
That's enough now.
Oh, but there's more. I haven't been thorough.
In English, we have to be careful because the way words are spelled doesn't always tell us how to pronounce them.
Let's see one more part of our story for another useful expression.
How about this one?
No, that's too big. I don't need one as big as that.
Anne says, I don't need one as big as that. What does she mean?
She means that the bowl is too big. We use the word as twice with an adjective in between, as big as, when comparing things. She doesn't need a bowl that size. She needs a smaller one.
So if we look at our boxes again, here's the small ball and the big box. I could say, I don't need a box as big as that for this ball.
What else could we compare using as?
Well, let's stand up. Brenton is taller than me.
So Michelle is not as tall as me.
But as we've seen before on Living English, Brenton is not as beautiful as me.
Says you. And that's all we've got time for today.
We'll see you next time when we look at giving instructions.
Hello, and welcome to Living English. Today, we'll look at giving instructions, how to tell people what you have to do to make things. Today in Sisters and Brothers, Anne cooks a meal for Sarah's family. So, let's see what's cooking.
What are we having?
Singapore noodles with prawns.
Oh.
It's a very famous dish. You can buy it at street stalls everywhere. I hope you like it.
I'm sure we will. So, what do we do first?
First we have to peel the prawns.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. Now what?
Now we'll fry the prawns. The oil must be very hot. It doesn't take very long. While I'm doing that, you can chop the leeks. Chop them very fine.
Like this?
Yes, sort of.
Now what?
Next we add the spices and some ginger and the leeks.
Okay, and now?
Now the leeks are soft, we put in some bean sprouts and then the prawns and the noodles.
All in together. Is that all?
Almost. Lastly, we add some of this special sauce. Didn't think I'd be able to find this here. Your market's very good. That's it. We're almost ready. I hope your family's hungry.
I think I'll try that recipe myself. It looks easy, but delicious. Let's have a look at the order in which the meal is prepared.
First, we have to peel the prawns.
Peeling the prawns takes a bit of time, and the meal is cooked very quickly, so it's best to do that first. They peel the prawns, and Sarah asks what the next thing to do is. Listen to how she does this.
Now what?
She means, what do we do now? Or, what's next? Practice saying, now what, with the clip.
Now what?
So what is it that we should do next?
Now we'll fry the prawns. The oil must be very hot. It doesn't take very long.
Anne said it doesn't take very long. She means it only takes a short time. We often use this expression for things that happen quickly. Try saying, it doesn't take very long with Anne.
It doesn't take very long.
In the next clip, listen for the word Anne uses to mean during the time that or at the same time as.
While I'm doing that, you can chop the leeks. Chop them very fine.
We say while to mean during the time that or at the same time as. During the time that Anne fries the prawns, Sarah chops the leeks. Let's have a look.
Like this?
Yes, sort of.
What does Anne do next?
Next we add the spices and some ginger and the leeks.
Okay, and now?
Now the leeks are soft, we put in some bean sprouts and then the prawns and the noodles.
All in together. Is that all?
Is that all? Sarah means, is that all you need to do? And is it?
Almost. Lastly, we add some of this special sauce.
For the final or last thing, Anne says lastly. Lastly, we add some of this special sauce. She could have said finally. Finally, we add some of this special sauce. Now we're going to look at those instructions and change them so that we are talking about what happened instead of saying what is happening. First, let's listen again to what is happening.
Lastly, we add some of this special sauce.
To talk about that or report it to someone, instead of saying we add some special sauce, we say some special sauce is added. This is called the passive voice. We use the passive voice when who or what causes the action is not important. Compare the active phrase, we add some of this special sauce, to the passive, some special sauce is added. In the first phrase, we is the subject, the person or thing performing the action. And some special sauce is the object. It's the thing affected by the action. It's what we add. But in the passive phrase, some special sauce is the subject of the action. When we use the passive voice, we just say what happens to the subject and not what the subject does, by using a passive verb such as is added. Add is an active verb. It says what a subject does. Is added is passive. It says what happens to the subject. Some special sauce is added. Now listen carefully and think how this next phrase can be made passive.
Next we add the spices.
Next, we add the spices. That's active. It says what we do. Add the spices. The passive is, next, the spices are added. That just says what happens to the spices. They are added. Notice that the active verb add changes to the kind of past tense called a past participle, are added. Now it's your turn to try some. This is the active. We show films in a cinema. What's the passive? Films. Films are shown in a cinema. This is the active. How do you pronounce this word? What's the passive? How is this word pronounced? Now listen to Anne use the active voice and then repeat what she says.
First we have to peel the prawns.
First we have to peel the prawns. That's the active. What's the passive? First the prawns are peeled. And here's someone who's very active. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone.
What are we going to do today?
You're going to follow my instructions.
Really?
And you have to listen closely. I want you to follow my instructions and tell me what has happened in the passive.
Okay.
First, open this box.
The box is opened.
Next, take out the camera.
The camera is taken out.
Turn the camera on.
The camera is turned on.
Point the camera at me.
The camera is pointed at Michelle.
Take my picture.
Michelle's picture is taken.
Now we'll replay what Brenton did. And I want you to tell me what happened in the passive voice. Here's what I mean. The box is opened. You try. The camera is taken out. The camera is turned on.
The camera at Michelle. The camera is pointed at Michelle. Michelle's picture is taken.
Now listen to Anne again.
While I'm doing that, you can chop the leeks.
You could say, while that's being done, the leeks can be chopped.
Yes, if you're writing a recipe. We use the passive when we are not sure exactly who or what is doing something.
What's a recipe?
A recipe is cooking instructions. I have a recipe here for iced coffee. I'll read it and you can follow it.
Follow it.
When we do what instructions say, we say that we follow the instructions. I want you to follow my instructions and tell the audience what you are doing using the active voice. Now you need a shaker, a kettle of hot water, ice cream, cold milk, instant coffee, sugar. Okay, let's start. First, 1 teaspoon of coffee is put in the shaker.
I put a teaspoon of coffee in the shaker.
1 teaspoon of sugar is then added.
I add a teaspoon of sugar.
Next, enough hot water to dissolve the sugar and coffee is added.
I add enough hot water to dissolve the sugar and coffee.
A scoop of ice cream is then added.
You say it this time. I add a scoop of ice cream.
The lid is put on and the contents shaken.
Try again. I put the lid on and I put the lid on and shake the contents.
Then the lid is taken off and the shaker is filled with milk.
I take the lid off and fill the shaker with milk.
Finally, the lid is put back on and the contents shaken vigorously.
Finally, I put the lid back on and shake the contents. Is that all?
Yes, except for drinking it. And that's all we have time for today. Next time, we'll look at the words we use to describe food and see if Anne's recipe for Singapore noodles is a success.
Hello, welcome again to Living English. Today we're looking at ways of giving praise and again at giving instructions. In the last episode of Sisters and Brothers, Anne was having dinner with Sarah's family. Today they are just finishing their meal.
That was delicious, Anne.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, it was very tasty.
If you went to Singapore, you could have it every day.
There you are, Mark. The advantages of travel.
I thought it was absolutely superb.
Thank you, Steve. What did you think, Louise?
Too hot.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how we eat in Singapore.
Do you want to play darts?
What's that?
Come on, I'll show you.
Can I play too?
No, Louise. Let Anne relax. She cooked dinner, so we'll clean up.
You have to hold it like this. Gently. Yeah, like this. Look where you want the dart to go and throw it, but not too hard. That's pretty good for a beginner. And you seem sad again. What's the matter?
There's something I haven't told you.
Do you know why Anne is sad? If you've been watching, you do. But Steve doesn't. Yet. Let's look at how they describe the meal.
That was delicious, Anne.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, it was very tasty.
There are many words you can use to describe food. Delicious, tasty, very nice. You try with the clip now. That was delicious.
That was delicious, Anne.
Let's try with a few different words to describe food. Nice. That was nice. Very nice. That was very nice. Beautiful. That was beautiful. Lovely. That was lovely. Interesting. That was interesting. Not very nice. That wasn't very nice. Awful. That was awful. But you wouldn't say it was awful if you were a guest at someone's house. Do you remember what Steve said about Anne's cooking?
I thought it was absolutely superb.
Thank you, Steve.
Steve said it was absolutely superb. He really liked it. Or maybe he really likes Anne. But one person at the table didn't like the meal.
What did you think, Louise?
Too hot.
Louise thought the food was too hot. She means the food was too spicy for her. Louise uses the word too in another way. Listen.
Do you want to play darts?
What's that?
Come on, I'll show you.
Can I play too?
There are two kinds of too. One of them means as well. So when Louise says, "Can I play too?" she means, "Can I play as well as Anne?" Now let's look at another little word that's very useful. So. Listen to how the word is used here.
Can I play too?
No, Louise. Let Anne relax. She cooked dinner, so we'll clean up.
Let's look at that pattern. Anne cooked dinner, so the others will clean up, not Anne. We could also say, we'll clean up because Anne cooked dinner. Here's some other examples. Try using so instead of because. We won't go out because it's raining. It's raining. It's raining, so we won't go out. I've got to go because it's late. It's late. It's late, so I've got to go. I'll buy this coat because I like it. I like this coat. I like this coat, so I'll buy it. And here's Michelle. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone.
What are you going to show us today?
How to explain the rules of a game to someone. In the story, Sarah's brother Steve shows Anne how to play a game called darts. Let's watch again to see how he does it.
You have to hold it like this, gently, like this. Look where you want the dart to go and throw it, but not too hard.
Steve is giving Anne instructions. He's telling her what to do to play the game and what not to do. Let's look once more at how Steve tells Anne what to do.
You have to hold it like this.
He says, you have to hold it like this. When we give instructions, it's the same as giving orders. There is only one way to do something. So we say, you have to, or you must. Let's teach Brenton a game.
What game?
It's called pick up sticks.
What do I have to do?
Well, you have to hold the sticks firmly in your hand.
Okay.
Then you have to let them fall.
There they go.
Then you have to pick up as many sticks as you can.
That's easier.
You mustn't move any of the other sticks.
That's not so easy.
You must be very careful.
That one. That one.
Easy. Now it gets tricky.
Got that one.
Very good.
I moved one.
Okay, then you must let me have a turn.
Oh, okay.
Let's start again. You make the sentences using you have to. Hold the sticks firmly in your hand. You have to hold the sticks firmly in your hand. Let them fall. You have to let them fall. Not too hard though. Pick up as many sticks as you can. You have to pick up as many sticks as you can. Now try some using must. Be very careful. You must be very careful. Let me have a turn. You must let me have a turn.
And there were some things I couldn't do. We can use mustn't. Let's try with mustn't. Move any of the other sticks. You mustn't move any of the other sticks. Drop the sticks too hard. You mustn't drop the sticks too hard.
Steve told Anne what she mustn't do too. Watch.
Look where you want the dart to go and throw it, but not too hard.
He tells her not to throw the dart too hard. So he could have said, you mustn't throw it too hard, or don't throw it too hard. So what could we say about the sticks using don't? Let them move.
Don't let them move.
Pick them up yet.
Don't pick them up yet.
Let's look one more time at Steve talking to Anne about the darts.
Look where you want the dart to go and throw it, but not too hard.
He says, look where you want the dart to go and throw it. Let's look at this sentence. Look where you want the dart to go. Who is Steve talking to?
He's talking to Anne.
But he doesn't say Anne, and he doesn't say you. There is no subject.
That's because it's an instruction or command. Steve is telling Anne what she must do. Giving commands or instructions is always to the second person, or you. But we leave out the word you.
So my instructions to Brenton for pick-up sticks can just be, hold the sticks in your hand. Let them fall. Pick them up without moving the others. Where else do we find instructions?
With things you buy, they often have instructions.
Let's look at the instructions for this electric kettle. The first instruction says, fill with desired amount of water. That is, put the amount of water you need into the kettle.
The second instruction says what not to do. Do not fill past maximum water level mark. That means don't put too much water in.
The third instruction says plug kettle into power outlet. In instructions, some words are often left out. So instead of plug the kettle into a power outlet, the and a are left out.
The same with the next one. Turn power on instead of turn the power on.
Which words are left out in the last instruction? To this. The full sentence should be turn the switch on the kettle to on.
In conversation, we never leave these words out.
So what is time?
You mean what is the time?
Okay.
It's time to say goodbye to the audience.
And time to see today's episode of Sisters and Brothers once again. Goodbye.
See you later.
That was delicious, Anne.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, it was very tasty.
If you went to Singapore, you could have it every day.
There you are, Mark. The advantages of travel.
I thought it was absolutely superb.
Thank you, Steve. What did you think, Louise?
Too hot.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's how we eat in Singapore.
Do you want to play darts?
What's that?
Come on, I'll show you.
Can I play too?
No, Louise. Let Anne relax. She cooked dinner, so we'll clean up.
You have to hold it like this. Gently. Yeah, like this. Look where you want the dart to go and throw it, but not too hard. That's pretty good for a beginner. And you seem sad again. What's the matter?
There's something I haven't told you.
Hello, and welcome to Living English. Last time on Sisters and Brothers, Steve was teaching Anne how to play darts when Anne decided to tell him about her missing brother. Now let's see what happens when Anne shows Steve a photo of her brother.
This is your brother.
Yes?
I know this man.
You know him?
I'm sure it's him. This is a man who works at the stall where I buy fruit.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it was him. We must go there now.
Hold on. It's 10 o'clock at night. The market's closed. Let me have another look. How long since you've seen him?
2 years?
It's him. I'm sure it's him.
What's going on?
Steve says he knows my brother.
What?
Oh, I think so.
He says David's working at the market.
That's right.
My brother sells fruit for a living.
Steve, are you sure?
Yes. Anne thinks she saw him.
Well, the markets are open tomorrow. Let's find out.
I can't believe it. David working at the market.
It looks like Anne is getting very close to finding her brother. In this episode, Anne tells Sarah what Steve said. We call this reported speech or indirect speech. Listen to Steve and then how Anne tells Sarah what he said.
I'm sure it's him.
What's going on?
Steve says he knows my brother.
Steve says he knows my brother. Anne uses the word says. Practice saying says with Anne.
Steve says he knows my brother.
What?
We use says when we are talking about the singular third person. For the first person, I and we use say. I say, we say. For the second person, you, we also use say. You say. The third person is anyone or anything else. For these, we use says. He says, she says, the doctor says, it says. We don't just use it to mean talking. We use it to mean writing too. We say, the newspaper says. But when the third person is plural, we use say. The newspapers say, the doctors say, they say. And if we ask a question, we use say. What does Anne say?
He says David's working at the market.
He says. Now it's your turn. Steve, he knows Anne's brother. Steve says he knows Anne's brother. He, David's working at the market. He says David's working at the market. Anne uses says because Steve has only just finished saying that he knows her brother. She could have used the past tense said. He said David's working at the market.
My brother sells fruit for a living.
Steve, are you sure?
Yes. Anne thinks she saw him.
He said Anne thinks she saw him. We use thinks or think in the same way as says or say. See if you can remember which one to use. Your English is very good. I think your English is very good. Michelle, your English is very good. Michelle thinks your English is very good. Now, where did Steve think he saw David?
I'm sure it's him. This is a man who works at the store where I buy fruit.
He thinks he saw David at the stall where I buy fruit. That's in the market. Notice that he says, this is the man who works, and not, this is the man that works. Listen again.
I'm sure it's him. This is a man who works at the store where I buy fruit.
We mostly use who when we are talking about people, and always that if we're talking about things. We say, I don't like cars that are noisy, but I don't like people who are noisy. Let's try some. I like cars are fast. I like cars that are fast. I like children laugh. I like children who laugh. You don't always have to say who when you're talking about people. You can also say, I like children that laugh. But with things, such as cars, we always say that. We use words such as who, that, which, and where when we want to say something about what has just been mentioned. Listen to the way Steve uses the word where.
This is a man who works at the store where I buy fruit.
He mentions the stall and then says something about it. The stall where I buy fruit. We use where to say something about a place, or to provide extra information about a place. When Steve says, the stall where I buy fruit, we are told something about the stall. It's the place Steve goes to buy fruit. Here are some more examples. I want to see where you live. This is the place where I grew up. Now see if you can use the right word, who or where. This is the girl. She works at the supermarket. This is the girl who works at the supermarket. This is the girl. She is getting married. This is the girl who is getting married. She works at the supermarket. I shop there. She works at the supermarket where I shop. And we can put all these ideas together in one sentence like this. This is the girl. She works at the supermarket. I shop there. She is getting married. The girl who works at the supermarket where I shop is getting married. So words like who, where, which, and that can be used to link sentences or ideas together. Let's try another one. This is the house. I live there. This is the house where I live. This is the man. He owns the house. This is the man who owns the house. And putting the ideas together. This is the man. He owns the house. I live there. This is the man who owns the house where I live. Now listen to what Anne says about her brother who works at the market.
My brother sells fruit for a living.
And this is Michelle. She helps host the program. This is Michelle who helps host the program. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone.
What does Anne mean when she says he sells fruit for a living?
She means it's his job. His job is selling fruit at the market. It's how he earns enough money to live. We do jobs for a living. What jobs have you done for a living?
I used to work at the market like David. I used to unload the fruit and vegetables off the trucks in the morning.
Used to?
We say used to for something that you did in the past but don't do now. I remember you used to work as a checkout operator.
That's right. That was years ago. Now you try. Add used to these sentences. Brenton, work at the market. Brenton used to work at the market.
Michelle, work as a checkout operator. Michelle used to work as a checkout operator.
We say, I used to work as a checkout operator because it was a regular thing, a job. I used to work at the supermarket every day.
So I could say, I caught the bus yesterday, so I only caught the bus once. But if I say, I used to catch the bus, I mean I did it often, every day. I used to catch the bus to work, but now I walk. Do you remember what Anne's job is? What does Anne do for a living? She works as a wine importer. Where does her brother work again?
I can't believe it. David working at the market.
He works at the market. We mostly say that we work at a specific place.
We work at the TV station.
David works at the market. Let's practice that. I used to work the supermarket. I used to work at the supermarket. A teacher works a school. A teacher works at a school. A professor works a university. A professor works at a university.
So what do we mean when we say that we work in something?
We mostly use in for the general type of work we do. We work in the media. When I was a checkout operator, I used to work in retail. Anne works in the wine industry.
What about when we say we work for something?
We work for money.
No, I mean when someone says he works for a bank.
Oh, that means the organisation you are helping with your work. A policeman works for the government. Or it can just mean an individual. I used to work as a babysitter for my aunt.
Ah, you used to work in childcare.
Yes. Now it's your turn. Which words will we put in here? I work as a TV presenter at the local TV station. I work in the media.
Who do you work for?
Well, I work for ABC Asia Pacific TV. It's a TV network. So I work for the TV network.
We know that Anne's brother David works at the market, but what does he work as?
Someone who sells fruit and vegetables is called a greengrocer. So David works as a greengrocer. Of course, you can also say he is a greengrocer.
Well, that's all for today. We learnt about reported speech and what first, second and third person means.
And some of the little words we use to talk about the jobs we do. In our next episode, we'll join Anne, Steve and Sarah at the market in their search for Anne's brother and find out some more about tenses.
Hello and welcome to Living English. In our previous episode, Anne discovered that her brother worked at the market. Sarah's brother Steve recognised the photo because he goes to the market to buy fruit. Today, Anne, Steve and Sarah go to the market to look for Anne's brother David.
He's not here.
Give me the photo, I'll ask. Excuse me?
Yes, mate.
We're looking for this man. He works here, doesn't he?
Who wants to know?
This is his sister. She's been looking for him.
Don't know anything about her sister. He never mentioned her sister.
But it is him, isn't it? Please say it's him.
Yeah, well, this does look like our Davo. I reckon it's him, love.
Thank you. It's David.
So where is he?
Look, I don't know, mate. He rang yesterday and he said he wanted a couple of days off. I said okay. He's usually pretty good.
Do you know where he lives?
Hang on, love. I'll just get me book.
We'll go there straight away.
Straight ahead?
Yes. No, left at the next lights.
How far is it?
Not far. Keep going along this road until you get to a roundabout.
What's that?
It's the cops.
It's starting to get very exciting. Keep watching to see what happens. We just saw Sarah giving directions. Let's have another look.
Straight ahead?
Yes. No, left at the next lights.
How far is it?
Not far. Keep going along this road until you get to a roundabout.
First, Steve asks if he should go straight ahead. He means, should he continue driving in the same direction without turning? Try asking straight ahead with him.
Straight ahead?
At first, Sarah is not sure which way to go, but then tells Steve where to turn. Listen.
Yes. No, left at the next lights.
She tells Steve to turn left at the next lights. She doesn't actually say turn, she wants to give the directions quickly. A car can't go straight ahead left. It can only turn left. So she doesn't have to say turn, she just says left. Where left and right are depends on which way you are facing. I'm facing you, so my left hand is on your right side. If I turn left, I go this way. When Sarah says, at the next lights, she means the next set of traffic lights that they come to. Now, what does she say to Steve when she wants him to continue in the same direction?
Keep going along this road until you get to a roundabout.
She says that he should keep going. Remember that when we give instructions or orders, we don't say you. Sarah doesn't say, you keep going. She just says, keep going. Listen again, and then say it with her.
Keep going along this road until you get to a roundabout.
Until you get to a roundabout. Until is a useful word. It means up to when or up to the time that. Sarah wants Steve to keep going up to the time that he gets to a roundabout. When he gets to the roundabout, he mustn't keep going. Often we shorten until to till. Keep going till you get to a roundabout. Now see if you can use some of the words we've talked about. Finish these instructions. Don't turn, go. Don't turn, go straight ahead. Turn right and keep going, you get to the next lights. Turn right and keep going until you get to the next lights. Now let's look at how we say that something we're doing keeps going. We know Anne was looking for her brother, and we know she is still looking for her brother. Listen to how Steve tells the fruit seller this.
She's been looking for him.
She's been looking for him. This is short for she has been looking for him. We've looked at this before on Living English. It's called the present perfect continuous tense. We use it for things done in the past and which we continue to do now. I have been presenting Living English for a while, and I hope you have been watching. We use have or has with been and the ing form of a verb to form this tense. Let's practice. I'll give you a verb and the sentence. Dance. I for hours. I have been dancing for hours. Drive. He all day. He has been driving all day. Usually we shorten this to he's been driving all day. Use the short form here. Write. She for years. She's been writing for years. Let's return to what's happening now. Listen to Steve asking the fruit seller if David works there.
Excuse me?
Yes, mate.
We're looking for this man.
Steve says, we're looking for this man. That's what they are doing at that moment. But we don't need to look for this woman because she's already here. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone.
What have you got for us today, Michelle?
A compass and a street directory. We're going to talk about directions. What are the 4 main directions?
North, south, east and west.
I'm going to show you this compass and you tell me where those directions are.
Okay. North is on the top. East is on the right. West is on the left. And south is on the bottom.
We use the same directions on a map when it is facing you. Tell me, what direction is the top of the page? North. What direction is the bottom of the page? South. What direction is the right of the page? East. And the left? West. Here's the market. Let's say you wanted to go up to the railway station. Which direction do you travel? You travel north. Now, Brenton, you give me some directions and I'll move the pointer. I'll start at the market and you tell me how to get to the theatre.
Go left until you get to the main intersection.
That's the intersection. An intersection is a crossroads. It's where roads cross each other. What now?
Turn right and keep going until you reach the square.
Okay, there's the square. It's a small park with roads all around it.
Turn right and then turn left at the third set of lights.
The red dots are traffic lights. 1, 2, 3, left.
Go straight ahead until you come to the theatre on your left.
Got it. Are you sure that was the best way?
Probably not. But what I want to know is, how did Steve get Anne's brother's address so he could give directions?
Let's have a look.
Do you know where he lives?
Hang on, love. I'll just get me a book.
The man at the stall has got a book with the address in it.
What does he mean when he says, hang on?
He means, wait a little while. It's an Australian slang expression.
I want to finish today with another one of those perfect tenses.
You would.
We talked about the present perfect continuous earlier. You know, I have been talking, that tense.
Yes.
There's another tense that we use for things that are not continuous actions, but which started in the past and are still true now.
For instance, I can say, I've lost my keys. I mean that it doesn't really matter when I lost them, but they're still lost. Now, what do you say if you just burnt your hand cooking?
I've burnt my hand.
You say that because you're still burnt. You're talking about the present.
This is the present perfect tense. It's when we say have or has with a past participle. I'll tell you some past participles and you can complete the sentence. Found. My keys. I have found my keys. If I just say, I found my keys, I'm talking about the past. Saying, I have found my keys means it's something that's just happened.
It's just like saying, I've done it, instead of I did it.
Yes. Let's do some more. Here's the past participle. Eaten. I, all the bread. I have eaten all the bread.
Seen. That film. I have seen that film. And now it's time for us to show today's episode again.
We'll be back with the next program, when we'll look at giving warnings and the present continuous tense. Bye.
Bye.
He's not here.
Give me the photo, I'll ask. Excuse me?
Yes, mate.
We're looking for this man. He works here, doesn't he?
Who wants to know?
This is his sister. She's been looking for him.
Don't know anything about her sister. He never mentioned her sister.
But it is him, isn't it? Please say it's him.
Yeah, well, this does look like our Davo. I reckon it's him, love.
Thank you. It's David.
So where is he?
Look, I don't know, mate. He rang yesterday and he said he wanted a couple of days off. I said okay. He's usually pretty good.
Do you know where he lives?
Hang on, love. I'll just get me book.
We'll go there straight away.
Hello, welcome again to Living English. Today we're looking at giving warnings and a verb tense called the past continuous. In the last episode of Sisters and Brothers, Anne was driving with Steve and Sarah. The stall attendant at the market gave them an address for her lost brother, and now they are on the way there, but they are in trouble.
What's that?
It's the cops.
Can I see your license, please?
Here you are. I'm sorry, officer. What's the problem?
I'm afraid you were travelling at 70 kilometres per hour in a 60-kilometre zone. I also see you have a passenger in the back seat who was not wearing a seatbelt. Do you know that you must wear a seatbelt when you're travelling in a vehicle, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I forgot. You see, officer, my friend here has been looking for her brother who she hasn't seen for 2 years, and we've just discovered the address.
We were driving there when you pulled us over.
Yes, well, you hear a lot of stories in this job. I haven't heard that one before.
But it's true!
I'm really sorry. It's all my fault. I was only thinking about my brother and now you're in trouble.
It's okay, Anne. It's my fault we're going too fast.
Look, just stick to the speed limit, okay?
Thank you, officer. Thank you so much.
But that's no excuse for not wearing a seatbelt. All right, now be off with you. Hope to find your brother, man.
Thanks, officer.
Anne, Steve and Sarah were lucky that the policeman who stopped them was kind. Let's look first at some of the words used in that episode.
What's that?
It's the cops.
When Steve sees the police motorbike behind the car, he says, "It's the cops." Actually, it's just one cop. Cop is a slang term for a policeman. It's not really rude, but you shouldn't use it when talking to a policeman. What does the policeman ask Steve?
Can I see your license, please?
Here you are. I'm sorry, officer. What's the problem?
The policeman asks Steve for his driver's license. He says, "Can I see your license, please?" The policeman is asking politely, although the law says Steve has to show him his driver's license. A license is a piece of paper that says you are allowed to do something, such as drive. Notice how it is spelled, with a C. The word license with an S is a verb. So you are licensed to drive if you have a license. The policeman says, "Can I?" and he says, "Please." He could also say, "May I?" or "Could I?" First practice saying, "Can I see your license, please?" with the clip.
Can I see your license, please?
Let's try some other phrases like this. First, use "May I?" "May I see your license, please?" "Could I?" "Could I see your license, please?" Now let's try some other phrases using "could you?" "Get out of the car, please." "Could you get out of the car, please?" turn off the engine, please? Could you turn off the engine, please? Come with me to the station. Could you come with me to the station, please? Luckily, Steve doesn't have to go to the station or police station. Listen now for 2 reasons why the policeman pulled them over.
I'm sorry, officer. What's the problem?
I'm afraid you were travelling at 70 kilometres per hour in a 60 kilometre zone. I also see you have a passenger in the back seat who was not wearing a seatbelt.
What was the first reason? It was the speed of the car. The policeman tells Steve he was travelling at 70 kilometres per hour, but the speed limit was 60 kilometres per hour. The speed limit is the maximum speed you can drive in a particular zone or area. So Steve was travelling too fast. Was travelling is a verb tense called past continuous. It describes a continuous action in the past. Travelling is a continuous action, one that goes on for a time. And it is a past action, because Steve is not travelling now, he has stopped. Try saying, you were travelling with the policeman.
I'm afraid you were travelling at 70 kilometres per hour in a 60 kilometre zone.
Try the phrase, travelling too fast, with different pronouns. I was travelling too fast. He was travelling too fast. Remember to change was to were with plurals, we, you and they. We were travelling too fast. They were travelling too fast. What was the second thing they were doing wrong?
I also see you have a passenger in the back seat who was not wearing a seatbelt.
Sarah was not wearing her seatbelt. This is another example of past continuous. She was not wearing her seatbelt when the policeman pulled them over. It was a continuous action in the past. Notice how the word not goes in between was and wearing to make the negative. Let's try some different phrases like this. First, repeat. She was not wearing a seatbelt. She was not wearing a seatbelt. Driving safely. She was not driving safely. Obeying the road rules. She was not obeying the road rules. Now look at how the policeman gives Sarah a warning.
Do you know that you must wear a seatbelt while you're travelling in a vehicle, ma'am?
You must wear a seatbelt while travelling in a vehicle. While means during the time. It's used to link 2 ideas together. The law says that someone who is travelling in a car must be wearing a seatbelt at the same time. Let's look at some other examples of this. You are on a bus. You must have a ticket. You must have a ticket while you are on a bus. You are in a restaurant. You mustn't smoke. You mustn't smoke while you are in a restaurant. You are driving. You mustn't drink alcohol. You mustn't drink alcohol while you are driving. But Sarah has an excuse. Listen.
You see, officer, my friend here has been looking for her brother who she hasn't seen for 2 years, and we've just discovered the address.
And I've just discovered Michelle. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Brenton. Hello, everyone. That sentence from Sarah, giving her excuse, was very long and complicated.
Yes, but we can use it to revise some verb tenses. Sarah is telling a complicated story. so she uses the different verb tenses to talk about when things happened.
First, my friend has been looking for her brother. This present perfect continuous tense tells us that Anne was looking in the past and is still looking now.
Then she says who she hasn't seen for 2 years. Who refers to Anne's brother. Remember, we can link ideas with who. My friend has been looking for her brother. She hasn't seen him for 2 years. My friend has been looking for her brother, who she hasn't seen for 2 years. She hasn't seen him shows that in all that time, Anne did not see her brother, and she still hasn't seen him now.
Finally, we've just discovered the address. This is the present perfect tense. They discovered the address just a little while ago, at the market. Just means only a small time in the past. Let's listen to that story again, and a bit extra from Steve.
You see, officer, my friend here has been looking for her brother who she hasn't seen for 2 years, and we've just discovered the address.
We were driving there when you pulled us over.
Steve says, we were driving there when you pulled us over. We've looked before at when. It connects two actions which happened at the same time. We were driving there, you pulled us over. We were driving there when you pulled us over. Try a couple of others like this. We were speeding, you stopped us. We were speeding when you stopped us. He was winning, he fell over. He was winning when he fell over.
Let's go back to the story again. Listen to the policeman.
Yes, well, you hear a lot of stories in this job. I haven't heard that one before.
He says, you hear a lot of stories in this job. Who is you?
The policeman is using you instead of saying I. I hear a lot of stories has a similar meaning. You hear a lot of stories means that people doing his sort of job hear a lot of stories.
And stories are people's excuses for breaking the law.
He also says, I haven't heard that one before.
The story that Sarah tells him is a new story. This is the first time he's heard that story, so he hasn't heard it before. That is, in any time before now. So whose fault is it? Let's look again.
I'm really sorry, it's all my fault. I was only thinking about my brother and now you're in trouble.
It's okay, Anne. It's my fault we're going too fast.
Anne says it was her fault, and Steve says it was his fault.
Fault is being responsible for doing something wrong.
Steve says it was my fault we were going too fast. It was his fault because he was driving. He was responsible. Try at home saying, it was my fault. We were late.
It was my fault we were late.
We had an accident.
It was my fault we had an accident.
We can also use the present tense. It is my fault we're taking too long.
It's my fault we're taking too long.
No, it's my fault. But we're nearly finished. Finally, let's look at two warnings the policeman gives. First, a warning for Steve.
Look, just stick to the speed limit, okay?
To stick to something is to keep to it. Drive at or below the speed limit. The policeman is warning Steve not to drive too fast or to speed. And here's the second warning.
But that's no excuse for not wearing a seatbelt.
He is warning Sarah about not wearing a seatbelt. She should have been wearing a seatbelt. Her reason was not good enough.
Well, I wonder if they will find Anne's brother in the next episode. and welcome to Living English. Today we're looking at introductions and how to express how you're feeling. Yesterday in our drama, Steve convinced a policeman not to fine him for speeding. Today, Steve, Sarah and Anne arrive at the address they have for Anne's missing brother. Let's see what happens.
Where did you say it was?
This is it, Barker Street.
We're looking for number 57. What am I going to say to him?
It'll be fine, he's your brother.
So, who's going to knock?
I guess I will. I'm so nervous.
Don't worry, we'll be here.
Hello.
Hello. I wonder... I'm sorry to bother you. I'm looking for... it's very hard to explain.
Perhaps my partner can help you. David?
Anne.
David.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so ashamed. I've been so selfish.
I'm so glad you're all right. I've been so worried.
Rose, this is my sister, Anne.
Oh, your sister?
And this is my girlfriend, Rose.
You'd better come in.
Anne's found him at last. And he has a partner. You'll have to keep watching to find out more about her. David had to introduce his sister to his partner. Let's look at how he does this.
Rose, this is my sister, Anne.
Oh, your sister?
And this is my girlfriend, Rose.
It's an unusual situation to be introducing people, but David does it in the usual way. First, he introduces his sister to Rose. Listen.
Rose, this is my sister, Anne.
First, he names Rose and tells her his sister's name and what relation she is to him. Rose, this is my sister, Anne. Practice saying that with the clip.
Rose, this is my sister, Anne.
Once he's done that, he introduces Rose to Anne. Listen.
And this is my girlfriend, Rose.
David wasn't sure what to say about Rose. When you introduce someone, you say something about them, whether they are your sister, or your boss, or whatever seems to be important. You say, "This is my sister," or "This is my boss." Let's practice using "this is." My brother Paul. This is my brother Paul. My sister Carol. This is my sister Carol. The receptionist Sue. This is the receptionist Sue. Now pretend that you have to introduce me to someone. You can say that I'm the presenter of Living English. And let's pretend that you have a brother called Jim. Introduce me to your brother Jim. Jim? Jim, this is the presenter of Living English, Brenton. And Brenton? Brenton, this is my brother Jim. Now let's have a look at the things we say when we knock on someone's door.
Hello.
Hello. I wonder... I'm sorry to bother you. I'm looking for... it's very hard to explain.
Anne was a bit confused. At first, she was going to say, "I wonder if you could help me." We say this if we need to find out something. If you needed to know when somebody next door might be coming home, you would use this expression. Notice that she says hello first. Try saying it. Hello, I wonder if you could help me. Hello, I wonder if you could help me. Or you could say, I'm sorry to bother you. To bother someone is to interrupt them, to ask them to do something. Try saying it. Hello. Hello, I'm sorry to bother you. In the end, Anne doesn't need to explain what she wants. Let's have another look at what happens next.
Perhaps my partner can help you.
David?
Anne!
David!
Viewers, this is our other presenter, Michelle. Michelle, these are our viewers.
Hello, everyone. Isn't it great that Anne has found David at last?
Yes.
Let's look at them getting together again.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so ashamed. I've been so selfish.
I'm so glad you're all right. I've been so worried.
It's such an emotional moment.
Let's take a closer look at how they talk about their feelings. Listen to David first.
I've been so selfish.
And now Anne.
I've been so worried.
They both say, I've been. They're talking about their feelings over time.
When David says, I've been so selfish, he means that being selfish is something he's done for a while.
Anne was worried about David right from the start, and all through our drama. That's why she says, I've been so worried.
If she had worried about David in the past and then stopped worrying, she could say, I was worried. But she didn't stop worrying. So she says, I've been worried.
I've been so worried. She said so worried.
Yes. They both used so a lot. They're using it to mean very. It's a very emotional scene. Can we have another look?
Okay.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so ashamed. I've been so selfish.
I'm so glad you're all right. I've been so worried.
It's time to look at the words we use for feelings or emotions. Brenton, look at my face and say what you think I'm feeling.
Well, that's easy. You're happy.
And this one?
You're unhappy or sad.
What about this one?
Oh, you're angry. I'm glad you're just acting.
What about this one?
Oh, you look worried. You're anxious.
All of those were adjectives, words that described how I felt. These words have noun forms too, the words that say what the feeling is. What's the noun for angry, Brenton?
Anger. Anger is the thing you feel. An angry person feels anger.
What about happy?
Happiness. A happy person feels happiness.
And sad?
Sadness. A sad person feels sadness.
Anxious?
Anxiety. An anxious person feels anxiety.
Now it's your turn. Which word do you use? Happy or happiness? I've been so happy. Sad or sadness? I see a lot of sadness. Anxious or anxiety? I feel a lot of I feel a lot of anxiety. Anger or angry? Don't get with me. Don't get angry with me. Now, how did Anne say she was feeling before she knocked on the door? Listen.
So, who's going to knock?
I guess I will. I'm so nervous.
So many words to describe the one feeling. Nervous, worried, anxious.
Yes. Anne said, "I'm so nervous." She's talking about the present. What would she say if she had been nervous for a while?
I've been nervous. Let's see if you can say the right feeling for the right time. How do you say that you are angry now? I'm angry. How do you say that you are more than just angry now? I'm so angry. What about being sad for some time? I've been sad. Being sad now. I'm sad.
You can also say feeling in these sentences. I'm feeling sad, or I've been feeling sad.
I wonder how Rose is feeling. Let's look at what she says after David introduces Anne.
You'd better come in.
What does she mean, you'd better?
That's a way of saying the best thing to do is. The best thing to do is to come in. You try some. Finish that essay. You'd better finish that essay. Feed the cat. You'd better feed the cat. Get up and go to work. You'd better get up and go to work.
And we'd better stop. In our next episode, you'll find out more about words for relatives and some words that are called relative pronouns.
Here's today's drama again. Bye.
Bye.
Where did you say it was?
This is it, Barker Street.
We're looking for number 57. What am I going to say to him?
It'll be fine, he's your brother.
So, who's going to knock?
I guess I will. I'm so nervous.
Don't worry, we'll be here.
Hello.
Hello. I wonder... I'm sorry to bother you. I'm looking for... it's very hard to explain.
Perhaps my partner can help you. David?
Anne.
David!
Oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so ashamed. I've been so selfish.
I'm so glad you're all right. I've been so worried.
Rose, this is my sister, Anne.
Oh, your sister?
And this is my girlfriend, Rose.
You'd better come in.
Hello, and welcome to Living English. Today, we'll be looking a bit more at greetings and introductions, and at relative pronouns. In our last episode of Sisters and Brothers, Anne finally found her brother living with a woman called Rose. Today, Anne goes into their house and meets someone else she knew nothing about.
David hasn't told me very much about his family.
I'm so sorry. And I feel very bad about not contacting you.
I just can't believe it. I was looking for you, thinking that something terrible must have happened, and here you are playing house.
There's someone you should meet. This is our son, Sam. Sam, meet your Aunt Anne.
Oh, David, my little brother of father. Oh, he's beautiful. David, why didn't you tell me about Rose? Why didn't you tell me you were a father?
I think I'd like to know that too.
I would have come and helped you.
It's hard to explain.
I have some friends outside who helped me find you. I think you need to tell us all what happened.
I'll go and get them.
I'm an aunt. Sarah, Steve. This is my brother David and his partner Rose. And this is my nephew Sam.
He's gorgeous.
I know you. You...
Shop at your stall, yeah.
Green apples. He always wants green apples.
That's right. You have a good memory, David.
I think you'd better all sit down.
Well, that was unexpected. Imagine suddenly finding out that you have a nephew, that your brother or sister has a son. In our last episode, we looked at introductions. Let's refresh our memories.
Sarah, Steve. This is my brother David and his partner Rose. And this is my nephew Sam.
This time, Anne introduces two groups of people instead of just two people. Remember to name the people you are introducing and then tell them who the others are by saying, "This is." Listen again and then repeat it with the clip.
Sarah, Steve. This is my brother David and his partner Rose. Sarah, Steve.
Notice that Anne says what relation they are first and then their names. Pretend that you have a sister called Anne who has a husband called Mike. Introduce Anne and Mike to two people called Brenton and Michelle. Brenton, Michelle. Brenton, Michelle, this is my sister Anne and her husband Mike. We're going to talk some more about relatives later. But first, I'm going to tell you about some words called relative pronouns. Most of them start with a wh sound. Listen out for one in this clip.
I have some friends outside who helped me find you.
I have some friends outside who helped me find you. Who is the relative pronoun. We've talked about these words before on Living English. A relative pronoun is a word that's used instead of the noun being talked about. Who is used to refer to some friends. We use words such as who when we want to say something else about people, to say who they are. The people in our story are called the characters. Who is Anne? We could say that Anne is the character who has found her brother. You try some. First, here's an example. Sarah is Mark's wife. Sarah is the character who... Sarah is the character who is Mark's wife. Okay, let's start. Mark is Sarah's husband. Mark is the character... Mark is the character who is Sarah's husband. Sam is Anne's nephew. Sam is the character... Sam is the character who is Anne's nephew. David works at the market. David is the character. David is the character who works at the market. Listen once more to how Anne uses who.
I have some friends outside who helped me find you.
Usually we use who when we're talking about people, but which or that when we're talking about things. So we say, I have a car which is blue, or I have a car that is blue. If we're talking about time, we say when. This is the time when the bus arrives. And if we're talking about a place, we use where. This is the place where the accident happened. Now see if you can use the right word. I have a bicycle is red. I have a bicycle which is red. This is the shop. I buy apples. This is the shop where I buy apples. I drive home at 7. The traffic is not as bad. I drive home at 7 when the traffic is not as bad. Now let's look at the moment when Anne learns she has a nephew.
This is our son Sam. Sam, meet your Aunt Anne.
David, my little brother and father.
It's time to introduce Michelle. Everyone, this is my co-presenter, Michelle Crowden.
Hello everyone.
What are we going to talk about today?
Relatives and relative pronouns. First, I have some questions for you, Brenton.
Okay.
If Anne is baby Sam's aunt, then Sam is Anne's what?
Sam is Anne's nephew.
What if Anne was the aunt of a girl? David's daughter would be Anne's what?
David's daughter would be Anne's niece.
Okay. If Anne had a child, what relation would it be to Sam?
It would be Sam's cousin.
Would it matter if it's a boy or a girl?
No, we say cousin for boys and girls. The children of brothers and sisters are cousins to each other.
All right. If Anne has a son, a boy, it would be David's nephew. David would be that child's what?
David would be that child's uncle. We call people who are cousins, aunts, uncles, nephews and nieces our extended family.
I'm going to ask the audience some questions about Sam's immediate family, the people he is most closely related to. Rose is Sam's mother. David is Sam's father. Sam doesn't have any brothers and sisters yet, so that's his immediate family.
Now for his extended family. Anne is Sam's aunt.
What about Anne and David's mother and father?
They're Sam's grandmother and grandfather.
Now for some questions from Anne.
David, why didn't you tell me about Rose? Why didn't you tell me you were a father?
You'll have to watch the next episode to find out the answers. Now listen to Anne say to her brother what he should do.
I think you need to tell us all what happened.
She used another of the words. Listen again.
I think you need to tell us all what happened.
You need to tell us all what happened.
What can be used in a sentence that's not a question. It means the things that. You need to tell us the things that happened.
She's talking about David going missing. I think he should tell us too.
We use the phrase, tell us what happened, a lot. It's a way of asking for the full story about something.
And we want to know the full story of why David went missing. Now I want to see if you can use what. I'm going to show you some sentences with a missing word. The missing word will be that or what. Let's start. I say, I mean. I say what I mean. This is the dog bit me. This is the dog that bit me. This book is just I needed. This book is just what I needed. You must work hard to get you want. You must work hard to get what you want. I like to drive cars are fast. I like to drive cars that are fast. Now let's have a look at one more clip.
I just can't believe it. I was looking for you, thinking that something terrible must have happened, and here you are playing house.
What does she mean, playing house?
Well, obviously she's angry. So she's saying that David is playing a game like a child.
She thought that something bad must have happened. What does she mean by must have?
We use must with have, must have, to mean a strong probability, or what's most likely. If you're late for work, I might say, he must have been held up in traffic.
We must have run out of time to do much more today.
Yes, we have. Enjoy another look at today's episode and join us next time when we hear what David has to tell us.
Bye.
Bye.
My little brother or father? Oh, he's beautiful. David, why didn't you tell me about Rose? Why didn't you tell me you were a father?
I think I'd like to know that too.
I would have come and helped you.
It's hard to explain.
I have some friends outside who helped me find you. I think you need to tell us all what happened.
I'll go and get them.
I'm an aunt. Sarah, Steve. This is my brother David and his partner Rose. And this is my nephew Sam.
He's gorgeous.
I know you. You...
Shop at your stall, yeah.
Green apples. He always wants green apples.
That's right. You have a good memory, David.
I think you'd better all sit down.